Hi, this is Donna. Welcome to DD Paper Crafts. In today's video, we're going to be making this lidded jar style gift box. The box is at its widest point 4 inches and on the base and the top 3 inches. And overall, it's 4.5 inches high. This box I saw on Pinterest, which took me to a German YouTube channel from a couple of years ago. The channel was, I believe, called Liebesfuchs. Apologies for the pronunciation. I've adapted some of the measurements, A into inches and B so that I could maximise the width of an A4 piece of cardstock. Before I give you the sizes that I've made, I just want to show you on the base with the size I cut my original piece. The base flaps do not cover the remaining flaps in their entirety. You can see the flaps are about 2/3 of the width of the base. If you're happy with that, then continue with the size of cardstock that I give you. Alternatively, if you would prefer the base to run all the way across the width, you'll start with a piece of cardstock which is A4 width times 8 inches. The scoring and the cutting will be exactly the same. It will just give you a full width panel along the base. So without further ado, let me show you how I put this box together. As I said, I'm starting with a piece of cardstock which is A4 width and mine is 7 inches long. Along the 7-inch side, score at half, 1.5, 4 and 5 inches. Rotate and along the A4 width side, score at 4 and 8. Within the 1/2 inch tab at the top, score down to the 1/2 inch score line at 1/2 inch, 3.5, 4.5 and 7.5. Flip the piece over and repeat, scoring at 1/2 inch down to the first score line, 3.5, 4.5 and 7.5. Fold and burnish along the score lines. We're now going to do some additional scoring. Take your stylus and ruler and we're going to score from the end of the additional score lines in the 1/2 inch tab down diagonally to the second full horizontal. It doesn't matter whether the tab's on the left or the right, your scoring will be the same. So I'm going to paste my stylus at the end of the score line, line my ruler up against the stylus and score. Repeat that at the bottom, so I'm scoring diagonally from the third scored line down to the top of that additional, which is going to form the base panel. I'm going to move along again from the top of the additional in the base section to the central score line. Move across and repeat. Move across to the end and I'm scoring from the top to the outside edge of the cardstock and then repeat on the top. So your piece will end up with 8 additional diagonal score lines. So do that on both pieces. These larger sections are the base panel. Cut up the second score line up to the first horizontal. Then cut along the diagonal score line like so. Rotate and remove the piece and cut a wedge into the side glued tab at the same time. Move along to the end of the centre section and cut a wedge. Cut up the diagonal on the top part of the lid, rotate and remove that corner section. So the left hand side of our jar where our glue tab is, we have cut the portions cut away. Move along to the next score line and cut up to the horizontal. So this is going to be our base section. Move along to the next vertical and cut all the way down to where the two diagonals meet on the second score line. Rotate and cut away the top rectangular section. So this is the bottom portion of one side of the jar. Move along to the next vertical, cut up to where the diagonal starts, and then cut along the diagonal. So that removes that section. Move along to the next vertical, cut down to the horizontal, rotate and remove that rectangle. So we've got glue tabs on the base section. Rotate the jar, and we want to make sure that we have glue tabs on the same side working on the top. So here's our glue tab. We're going to cut up the end score line to the additional score line and cut a wedge. That's creating a small glue tab. This top piece has got the section cut away, so we're going to do the same. Cut up the additional along the diagonal and then cut up the next score line to remove that section. So we have a glue tab on this section here. So we want a glue tab down here. We're going to rotate and cut up to meet the additional score lines and take a wedge from the small glue tab. So this is our piece. So when you cut yours, you want to make sure that you cut both pieces with the glue tab on the same side. And as long as you do that, you will end up with your cut lines and your score lines on the same side of both pieces. Here's a quick template just to show you. The pencil lines are our original score lines. The red lines are our additional diagonals, and then the blue sections and the blue lines show a cut line or where the section is cut away. So that just gives you a quick guide. Burnish each of the additional diagonals and additional score lines and make sure you take time to burnish these neatly, as it will help the look of the box. I decided I wanted to have an aperture into one side of the windows, so I've added my DSP onto one of the sections and I'm going to cut that through whilst the pieces are flat. So if you want to do anything like that, I would recommend doing that before you start joining up any of the sections. We're going to work on one piece at a time, i.e. two sides of the jar, and then we'll add the two pieces together. Add glue into one of the glue tabs at the top and pull the section round to line up the cut line with the score line. And you do want to take your time to make sure you get a nice neat edge on these. Whilst that's drying, add glue to the base glue tab and repeat at the bottom. And then we can go back up to the top, add glue to the very small glue tab at the top and join up the lip piece. So I'm going to put that to one side and do exactly the same on the second piece. I'm now going to glue the two pieces together by adding glue to one of the side glue tabs and joining up to the second piece. Try and get the score lines lined up. I'm then going to repeat by adding glue to the top and bottom glue tabs and completing that side section of the box. And once that's in place, add glue to the remaining side glue tab join up your two sides and complete the top and bottom sections of the box. And that is the profile of our box. I'm now going to use my construction glue and add it to each of the tabs on the bottom sections and adhere the bottom panel into place, and then go in with my score tool just to burnish that down. Whilst that's drying, we'll make the lid. And for the lid, I have a piece which is 4 inches by 4 inches. I've got a piece of scrap cardstock which I've folded over, and I've butted that into the top left-hand corner of the scoreboard so it will shift the cardstock over by approximately a 1/16 of an inch. Score at 1/2 an inch, rotate, put the cardstock back in, and repeat that on all 4 sides. Fold and burnish. Take your scissors, cut up one of the verticals to the horizontal, and take a wedge from the ends of that small glue tab. So we're making a very simple tray style box. Repeat that on all 4 sides. I'm going to use red tape to add my tray together, like so. And my lid fits neatly and snugly on the top of the jar. I'm now going to continue with my decoration, and then I'll show you the finished piece. Here's my finished box. You can see I've added DSP onto all of the sections and some of this pom-pom around the top, which I think looks quite sweet. I've used 2 polymer clay candy cane embellishments which I've just stuck together to create a heart on the top, and some gingerbread man images which I've stamped and coloured and stuck behind the acetate. My plan is that this will be used to go into a Christmas Eve box, and it's going to have a gingerbread man cutter and some tubes of coloured icing and bits and pieces that you would need to decorate some gingerbread people. I'm really happy with how the box has come out. Overall, I think it has a really nice shape to it, and it will be suitable for lots of different types of gifts. I hope you've enjoyed today's project. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. And until next time, thanks for watching.